What's up, everybody? Welcome to our channel, Honest Hockey Takes. I'm Hohen, and this is Scott. We have breaking news today.
Yeah, so very unexpected trade just happened. Mr. Bo Horvat from the Vancouver Canucks was traded today to the New York Islanders in exchange for prospect Atu Rati, a first-round pick conditional. Basically, the condition is going to be that if they finish inside the top 12 in the draft, it will move over to 2024. If not, it will be this year's pick. And the one player they packaged in was Anthony Beauvillier. So this was actually really unexpected because of all the rumors we heard and all the trade talk. We did not expect that this would be the team that goes after Bo Horvat. How surprised were you, Hohen?
Extremely surprised, and the timing is very surprising. I wasn't expecting him to get traded today, so...
No, it's a little early. I thought this one would push right into within a day or two of the deadline, and I guess they just thought this value was too good and they couldn't pass up on it.
I think it's good for Vancouver Canucks to move on from this player now because they get they get to get him for a higher value right now. Because if they wait until the deadline, they would get less value back for him.
No, I do think so. Because, I mean, if you're waiting till the last second, people know that this guy is not going to be back on your team. You got to get something while you can. And I think, honestly, if I'm giving my personal opinion, I think Vancouver did pretty good with this trade.
I think Vancouver did really, really well. I like some of the players that got back. I like that first-round pick. It's an icing on the cake.
That's a big one.
It's a big piece there. Anthony Beauvillier is a good player until I saw how much he's getting paid. So I've always liked Anthony Beauvillier. He's a hardworking player. He's a good playmaker. He's not he's not a superstar by any means, but he's a good middle six player on this team. He'll be very good for the Vancouver Canucks. I just don't like his $4-point-some million contract, but hey.
That was the interesting one here. Like Vancouver, as clear as day, you can see their biggest issue right now is cap issues. Whether it's too many contracts like Tyler Myers or Oliver Ekman-Larsson weighing them down, adding someone over $4 million who's probably going to realistically play a middle six role for this team was a little odd. I think it's a win because they ended up getting Atu Rati, who's a very, very solid prospect and who's been really improving the last 2 years quite a bit. And also, obviously, that first-round pick. This is likely going to be a pick that's like 13th or 14th overall this year. Because right now, as of today, the Islanders are outside of a playoff spot, but they're not a bottom 10 team. So they're in that like sweet spot between like 10 to 15th last. And that could actually be a really solid player in a draft as deep as this.
For this Ratty kid, what do you like most about his game?
Well, so a couple years ago, Ratty was actually expected to go in the first overall spot in the draft. But he had a really, really rough year and he dropped from like first overall to like second round pick. It was actually one of the most wild drops I've seen in a long time from a prospect. And everyone was down on this guy. They all thought he was kind of like a bum. But in the last couple years, ever since he was drafted, his draft plus 1 year and stuff, he absolutely lit up the Finnish Elite League. He put up almost a point per game, pretty much 1 point under a point per game. It was incredible. Not many players do that in La Liga because Finland is not a very high scoring league overall. And he really started to show it. And this past year, right now, in the AHL, he's got 15 points in 27 games. That is nothing to scoff at. That is actually pretty decent for a 20-year-old kid.
Yeah, I mean, I like his size, 6'2" defense, 6'2" centerman, right?
Yeah, they need that, right?
Yeah, he's got good skating ability. He apparently has good defensive awareness, so that's good to see. Vancouver could definitely use a player like him.
Yeah, I think that's actually the big one. Is he is a pretty solid two-way player. He's really worked on that the last 2 years, especially, and I think he might be ready as early as start of next season to jump into this lineup. And for a team like Vancouver, that is clear. I don't care what they say about retooling. This team needs to rebuild in a pretty big way. They're nowhere near being a contender right now, especially with this roster. But I do think that Atu Rati is actually a very solid help for this roster in the near future. And it's going to be a good fit. He'll probably play with a guy like JT Miller, and because we all have seen that Pettersson and Kuzmenko have that great chemistry. So they're going to need someone else to jump into that top six role next year, and I think he could be that guy.
This was a really good trade for Vancouver, but the one thing that concerns me about this trade was that they traded away one of the biggest trade chips this year, and that's Bo Horvat.
They did.
And they didn't get a defenseman back, which they badly need. They don't have a defenseman on their team other than Quinn Hughes.
This is why I think this team needs more than just a retool. This is a longer project. We've seen their defense. It's pretty horrible right now.
Yeah, you look past Quinn Hughes is terrible. None of your defense are good. None of them.
No, it would have been nice if they could have found a way to like steal one of those 5 defensemen on the Islanders.
Mayfield, Scott
yeah,
Mayfield?
someone like that who could have
goodness.
filled in that spot a bit. But I guess that's asking a bit too much from the team.
Yeah.
Let's look at it from the Islanders side here. So they get a much needed offensive boost here. Honestly, this is why I think this trade was a really good trade for both teams if they can re-sign him. And I think they will, because I don't think they went out and made this trade for Bo Horvat unless they knew that they could re-sign this guy. They needed a number 2 center. I mean, after Matt Barzal, this offense is flat. And if they have another good center like Bo Horvat, who's able to score 35, 40 goals in a season, I don't think it's going to be like this pace he has this season, because this season he's just been on a new level. But even if he's like 35 goal scorer in a full season, that's pretty good.
No, this is a perfect fit for the team. They needed another centerman, exactly what you just said. It's every time I think about this team, I'm thinking about Brock Nelson and Matthew Barzal driving their whole
it falls
offense.
right off.
It falls right off.
Yeah.
So it's nice now because now they can put Brock Nelson to the wing, which I like him better on the wing rather than be in center.
Oh yeah, it's easily going to be Barzal first line center and Horvat second.
Yeah,
and that's a pretty strong 1-2. I'm not going to lie. It's good for the Islanders, and their fans probably appreciate it because they've waited a long time to get goal scoring on this team, and now they have some.
Yeah, for Islanders' perspective, I am very curious to see who they play Horvat with, whether it's Wahlstrom or whether it is Anders Lee. I want to see whether he develops that type of chemistry with those type of snipers on the team.
Glad you mentioned Oliver Wahlstrom there, because I think this Beauvillier chip trade, losing him, is really going to benefit Wahlstrom for ice time and opportunity. Because Beauvillier kept moving up and down that lineup, whether he was on the first line, second line, or third line. He was all over, right? Like they never consistently had that guy in the same place twice. But now Wahlstrom, who's a pretty good prospect in his own right, former first-round pick recently, and he has a really good shot. Like this guy's got a monster shot behind him. If he gets to play in the top 6 consistently and not have to worry about dropping down for a guy like Beauvillier, this could be really good. And no matter what now, he's going to have a good center.
I'm starting to really like this New York Islanders team. They did the right move here. This is completely 180 from Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver Canucks is extremely weak back end. Has an extremely weak defense corps.
They need to fuse.
Not a good goaltender.
Combine
no good goaltenders. Versus New York Islanders have a top 3 goalie in the whole entire league.
Yeah, he's so
They have one of the best defense corps in Ryan Pollock, Pelech,
Dobson, Romanov, and
Mayfield.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's stacked.
Absolutely stacked. And then now they added Bo Horvat. Oh my goodness. They just needed offensive punch on this team, and they just added a really big piece here.
Okay, so for Islanders fans here, real question. With this ad, does this team have enough to get into the playoffs? Right now, they're projected at a 14% chance to make the playoffs. Do you think that they could start winning some games and get in there? Last spot, wild card?
I think there's a chance now.
You think there's a chance? You think they go all in and add something else to really push them over the top at the deadline? Another player still?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't think they really need to add any defense. We talked about, their defense is solid. They get one more winger to go along with these centers, though. They might be in luck because their goaltending is phenomenal this year.
Yeah, I agree with Scott here. They do need to add another winger on this team, preferably a cheap winger, but that could round up the whole team for sure because they need more offensive power.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, I think overall, basically what we're trying to say is this trade, great hockey trade for both sides. Both teams got a little something back, what they needed. One team needed to get some offense. The other team needed to retool or at least rebuild in this case for Vancouver. And I think this is good for both sides. So, overall, impressed.
One last question I want to ask you. Where do you think Anthony Beauvillier is going to play in the lineup?
I don't have as much of a ceiling on Beauvillier as I do for maybe like who that first round pick becomes or for Ratty, but I would say that he's probably going to be second liner now because they've traded away Bo Horvat.
Yeah, I mean, for the package, I like the package Vancouver got back overall, considering they're trading a player with an expiring contract. So I like it, what they got back, especially with that first round pick. So very well done by both teams here.
Yeah, no, for sure. But until next time, guys, we'll talk to you later. Take care.
Bye.